All right, hip internal rotation. Everybody seems to be doing drills like this, right, where they internally rotate and then it's more advanced. You go up here, rotate. I'm not saying it's a waste of time. I think you should get strong in every position. The problem is this. Any basic understanding of anatomy knows this. The length-tension relationships and sometimes the functional roles of your hip muscles are different when you're standing in weight bearing than when you're flexed in non-weight bearing. One example, a prime example of several, is your piriformis. Your piriformis is a hip external rotator when you are standing, but when your hip is flexed at 90 degrees or beyond, it's a hip internal rotator. I'm going to show you better ways if you're trying to work on improving hip internal rotation standing, like for a golf swing or for a baseball swing or loading up in any rotational sport. You need to train standing hip internal rotation while you're loaded in weight bearing, because that's what's going to have the most transferable ability from what you do in the gym to your performance. That's what functional training is all about. One of my favorite ways to train and strengthen hip internal rotation is these hip internal rotation rows. Now this involves a row, but I'm not using weight that's limited for or not dictated by what I can row. I'm using weight that's dictated by what my hip internal rotators can do. You see, I'm driving hip internal rotation here. The cable's pulling me into hip external rotation. I'm talking about this hip right here. What I'm doing is, by lifting this heel up and pivoting around this way, look, I'm creating hip internal rotation. And the cable is pulling me out of that. So it's a strengthening exercise for your hip internal rotators. Boom, here. I just like to add a row with it because instead of just doing this, people just don't, it doesn't sink in as much. So telling people to pull and pivot, that's what we're working on right there.